Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, Reasonable Doubt. JV here along with also hosts. Who should go first? Who should go first? I don't know. I was going to, do the big line. How about we go Murray Newman, ladies and gentlemen. Murray Newman, also a host for a number of years of Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, Reasonable Doubt. How you doing, Murray?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Oh, good. Along with Mr. Justin Harris. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, good.
Thanks to Murray. Murray, good to see you.
I agree.
Long time no talk, Justin.
I know. You haven't heard me rant today.
Well, hold on. If I may, I told the entire planet that you were coming on at 7:30 to talk specifically about the things that are going on in Judge Martin's court. And I don't want those people to come in early and wonder, or late and be like, I thought we were going to hear about Murray talk about all the things he's going to talk about.
Well, I mean, we could swap recipes for a while. And
Are you here for the hour or are you here for a 30?
We just want to make sure you're here for an hour.
Yeah, I'm here for an hour.
Here for an hour. Okay, at 7:30, I say we switch topics. And the hottest topic in the courthouse in Harris County right now is Kim Ogg, district attorney, has been on the stand for, I heard all day yesterday and some of today.
It wasn't all day yesterday. So yesterday, the hearing started pretty promptly at 10:30, and the first several hours were actually Dane Schiller, the district attorney's communications director for the office, who actually
Wait. This is the guy you busted.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We got to save the juice. That you got everybody who's watching, you got to wait 30 minutes for that. 30 minutes. Okay.
So back to the recipes.
Okay. So let's talk about what's going on at the CJC. What's going on?
You know, there's always something going on. They've rerouted us again. We have a new entrance.
We do, and
I feel like every single day every morning is like a new game of capture the flag. Like, can you figure out?
It truly
how
is.
It truly
Well, have you stood across the street or maybe even over in front of the juvenile courthouse and looked over at the CJC? Because right now what you can tell they've done is they've worked on half of the building on the front side.
Yeah.
So like the facade, it's almost like the DC character Two-Face. One half it looks like a Hilton hotel that you would pull up in front of and think there's a valet, and the other half is still the old CJC. And now we have to walk across the street and then back across the street to just walk in the front of the building.
Well, and I've heard that there's a new hurricane in the Gulf, so it's like just in time, just in time to get wiped out.
Exactly.
Okay.
And listen, you have heard it here many times. It will happen again. That building is going to flood again while we're still using it as our full-time criminal justice center.
Yeah,
it's going to flood again.
Yeah, no, I don't think that any lawyer who has been there more than twice would dispute that.
So two things. The first thing I want to let the viewers and fellow hosts know that I forgot my computer, so I'm at least at the control panel. I'm doing everything through my phone, so I don't want you thinking I'm like texting and things. I'm running the live feed.
And his phone, and he's prepared. His phone has a full charge and everything. He's ready to go.
And I want to compliment Mark Pirtle on that beautiful piano solo that he does.
Oh yeah, that was live.
I mean,
you're welcome. He does. Mark Pirtle in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Pirtle in the studio.
He's close personal friends with John Cusack.
He's on the keys. Mark Pirtle on the keys.
Mark Pirtle's always talking to John Cusack on Twitter. They're buddies now. I need to hang out more with Mark. Cusack's one of my favorites. So.
Me back.
Cusack, is he the guy on Saving Silverman? No, he's not.
No. But he's from Grosse Pointe Blank, which is my all-time favorite.
Grosse Pointe Blank.
Yes, Grosse Pointe Blank.
Fidelity.
I see him.
And Better Off Dead. Say Anything. Yeah.
Better Off
Runaway
Dead.
Jury. Say Anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Con Air.
Sure thing.
So, okay, quick Con Air story. So we're in this terrible, heinous child sex case. And
You mean this one you just got a not guilty on?
no,
This
it's
one?
not. No, it's not.
Oh.
It's one of the ones that I learned something. We have it's Mr. DuPont on the close, and he says, "Do you think he's gonna sit down and have a tea party with the girl he's supposedly XXX?"
Mm-hmm.
And then, sure enough, one of the jurors says, "Have you ever?" When we lost the case and the guy ended up getting, like I think it was 40 years. Have you ever seen the movie Con Air? Have you ever seen the tea party scene? Yeah, no.
Steve Buscemi in the pool.
Yes. There will be none of that. There will be none of that. So, so the first one was that I was running the whole thing through my phone, and the second one was I forget. You know, we digress. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to leave the
gave a
Con
shout-
Air thing alone.
We gave a shout out to Mark Pirtle, who is he's the glue
Much deserved.
that keeps that Con Air running on here.
Oh,
So
God, that was a terrible
It's a
experience.
different kind of Con. This Con Air has an E at the end.
Who else?
Very
Who else?
sophisticated.
So recently I heard, you know, Steve Greenlee in the 351 got a not guilty, is what I understand too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and, didn't Joe Wells get one as well?
Joe Wells got a big not guilty. Shout out to Joe Wells.
You got yours, man. So,
Well, we got
yeah.
ours too, man.
JV's was. How long was that jury out, JV?
They're about 10, 11 hours. About 10, 11
That's a
hours.
long deliberation, man.
It is. It
That's
is.
good. That's like a civil jury trying to figure out damages.
Murray,
That's good.
Murray, what's the longest trial you've ever been in? Just because I've never. This is the 9 days. Actually, I did a 12-day one, and that's the longest I've ever been in. But I hear about stories people being in trial for months.
Yeah, I mean, I did a death capital once when I was a prosecutor, and if you calculated in all the jury selection, that was like a month and a half or so. But I would say probably the longest non-death trial that I ever done was probably 2 weeks, and that was when I sat second chair with Kelly Siegler on Susan Wright. That was a pretty long trial.
Talk to us about Susan Wright. What's the quick and dirty?
Susan Wright was the housewife that tied her husband to the bed and then stabbed him like 197 times, and buried him in the backyard in a fountain he'd been digging, and the dog dug him up. And it got a lot of notoriety because we brought the bed into the courtroom.
Okay,
and
did
all the oil to it.
Did
So.
you help bring the bed in, or did somebody else bring the bed in?
I mean, I helped with some of the lifting. I was initially supposed to be the dude on the bed, and I was like, "There's no way. There's no way."
No
that's
way.
happening."
Are you kidding me? You were going. From what I
Yeah.
understand,
I don't know if people realize, like, this is like a really infamous story.
Yeah.
you
We're getting inside information. This is like one of those things where, like, 50 years after Rolling Stones like recorded that album, they come back and like, oh yeah, when we were recording that song, this is what was going on in the back. Like, wait, Murray was supposed to be Paul Doyle? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
No. So it was I said, that there are just too many ways that could end in utter humiliation for me, and I was just like,
Let me get this
I've
straight.
known Kelly Siegler for a long time, and I rarely tell her no. I'm just not going to do something. But on that day,
You said no?
Like, not happening. But what I did was I was just like I was a lot skinnier back then, and I was just like, Paul Doyle's got much more of the build for this. He was much more similar to the complainant in this, and Paul was all
The
about
Wait.
You sound like a defense attorney. You mean the dead guy, right?
dead guy.
Yeah, the deceased.
Yeah.
Wait. So I thought she got up on a empty mattress. You're telling me Paul
Yeah.
Doyle was actually sitting there and getting stabbed 137 times?
He was tied to the bed. Yeah, man. I mean,
Didn't she use the actual knife? I mean,
She
she
did.
didn't stab Paul Doyle, but didn't she like hold that in her hand?
No, we didn't know him as well back then. Maybe if given another opportunity. But no, she actually had. Yeah, we had all the knives. There were actually several knives used in that. But
Who presided?
Judge Wallace.
How? I mean, so
Great court for you guys.
I've been practicing law for something like 13, 14 years, which is nothing, which I'm a puppy. I don't think I ever saw Jim Wallace try a case. I loved his court, don't get me wrong.
He did. No, he
He tried
did.
cases. I'm less than you, JV, and I saw him try cases.
Yeah, no, he would try cases. I've tried a lot of cases in there with him. The thing with Judge Wallace was he didn't have a lot of patience if the prosecutor signed in there wasn't good. So it was kind of like he kind of said, well, picking what case we're going to go on is whether or not it's an entertaining case, and don't make me watch this guy in trial again because I may shoot myself. But
when you tried the case, the bed stabbing case with Siegler, I guess, was there a murder? Right now they got the murder squad or the.
No.
Did they have that back then?
No. I was actually a brand new two in grand jury. Kelly was my friend. She and I were actually supposed to try a case before then, and it fell apart. And she said, "Next case you can try with me." And I said, "Super." It just happened to be that one. And so it's my link to infamy, courthouse infamy was trying that case. But everybody's reaction is always the same as yours. Like, that was you? And I'm like, I wasn't the guy on the bed. It's the same.
Did they have it?
Conversation every
was
time.
it?
Yeah, it's a story, man. This is a courthouse legend around the courthouse. Because wasn't there some stuff that happened after the trial that was kind of based on some of the things that Kelly did in the pellet history?
No, I mean so Brian Weiss got involved on it, and basically he was trying to. It's a convoluted type of deal, and I keep getting angry texts from Lauren Byrne that she wants to hear about the hearing in the 263rd today.
So do I.
7:30.
7:30. Get there. Or is it JV?
Lauren, 7:30. I've told everybody. I've told judges.
Later, Murray's here now. Let's do it.
No, I have
told. What are we gonna do?
No, I have told judges.
JV is gonna say.
No,
we didn't get enough time to talk about it.
We'll
have Murray back to talk about it again next week.
No, I have told judges. I have told the media. I have told all of our friends. Murray's coming on at 7:30 to talk, and that's the time. I love you, but I've told everybody.
Well, okay. So let me wrap up the Susan Wright thing real quick, and then we can start talking about the setup of what we got to go into the hearings on 263rd. So the bottom line is that so basically Weiss gets involved in this case because everybody's irate about the bed demonstration. And ultimately, that doesn't become the issue on the appellate issue. It has to do with what Weiss alleged ineffective assistance on the part of the defense attorneys on that.
Who was trying it? Who was trying it?
I don't want to say it because I think that they actually did a really, really good job. And I mean, you had a lady that stabbed her husband 197 times, and she was insisting that it was self-defense, and that's a really ugly prom date.
Were there ligatures? Was he really tied up?
Yeah, no, it was bad. So he had ligatures still, he had ties around his wrists because she used them to move them, and the other side of them were actually still tied to the bedposts. And
snap!
Cut through. So yeah. And he had hot wax dripped on him. And
was there a rough sex defense?
No. She said that it was just a snapping moment, and that she put him on trial. Said that he had always been abusive to her. There were a lot of issues that
she had to do it.
Made a difficult sell as well. And I think the jury ultimately rejected that, and she got 25 years the first time. She did get a new trial, and
based on the bed stabbing?
Huh?
Based on the bed stabbing?
No, she got it reversed on ineffective assistance.
Oh shit!
And,
on punishment or complete retrial? Punishment or complete retrial?
Just a punishment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow! What did she get the second time?
20.
Oh, snap. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't there.
What happened? She gets 25 the first time. She gets 20 the second time.
I had been invited to go into another field of law at that point.
Oh,
So,
fair enough.
so I wasn't there anymore.
So what year was that? 1963?
Yeah, we tried it, I think 2004 the first time, and then I think it got retried 2009.
So
and she's out now. Susan Wright's out. She paroled out.
I remember seeing that she got out a few years ago.
Yeah, John Jordan, who tried it the second time, he like called me and he was really serious. And John's a good friend of mine. He's like, "Hey, Murray, you need to know that Susan Wright's out." And I'm like, "What? I don't think she's gonna come after me, John."
Right.
She seems to have a trick. She wants to kill you, and I know
Right.
it.
Hey, I mean, God, that's just such a great story. Such a great.
Yeah.
Did she end up burying the body?
She did, and the dog dug it up. And
Oh God, the fucking.
yeah.
Pardon me, the dog. I mean.
Well, the thing is, and I'm
Man's best
I'm
friend,
sitting here like
not
really worried that I'm
woman's.
irritating Lauren Byrne, but the reality is that what happened.
Well, Lauren can call in
She
can tell you on the phone.
This is
for everyone to
no,
hear
but
if
first,
they agree.
first we need to hold
and
the
that'll
phone.
eat up about 10 minutes.
We need to hold the phones for about 15 minutes because we got to get a full workup. Because I don't know anything about it. My head's been in the sand. I've just heard about it. It's everybody's talking about it.
So
JV, you come to our 4 o'clock staffing meetings every week before we do reasonable doubt because we're so prepared. You know that we're going to need like about 2 minutes of workup, not 10 minutes.
Look, the whole schedule was built upon Murray Newman's schedule because let me give a quick shout out. Let me get a quick shout out to all the mamas and papas out there putting their kids to bed right now because and all of us.
Is there anyone in particular that you want to like?
Well,
give,
to all of us to all of us who are listening to the good juice in Harris County, be strong, everyone. But also shout out to all the mamas and papas who are taking kids to baseball and putting kids to bed tonight. Heads up. That's all.
yeah.
Hey, I digress. Let's continue. So she buried the body. The dog. Does she confess to that?
Well, she actually went and lawyered up. So what she does is she actually, to cover up for his disappearance, she goes and tells the police that he had hit her and then left town. Well, hit her kid. And when that happened, CPS came out to investigate. She freaked out, went and hired defense attorneys, and then checked herself into a mental institution.
Wow.
So when she took the stand to testify on self-defense, it was cold. We had no idea what direction they were going to go with the defense until we heard opening statements, and then she took the stand. So she did not do well on the stand. What
do you think about reserving open? Are you a fan of that? Not a fan of that? Or is it just kind of something you got to make a decision on the case? What do you think?
I think it would have to be a really extreme case to. I keep getting these pop-ups like moving on to Kim Monk. So this is the last thing.
No, we can't, man. We can't.
You can. There are people. We actually have viewers. You need to keep them.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
All right. Wrap it up, Murray.
Okay,
Wrap it up,
yeah,
and then let's go.
I'm not a fan of waiving opening. I don't waive opening because I feel like it loses its steam and momentum by the time you get around to it.
Okay. 10 minutes early, and to everybody,
right.
like it is. I'm getting texts too from everybody. Everybody's coming in anticipation. Okay.
All right.
No one's texting me. Oh, because I'm not talking enough about not Kim Og.
Okay. So, set it up. What happens?
So the hero of this story is actually Justin Kiter. He's the guy that did all the heavy lifting. The only reason that y'all really want to talk to me is that I was pretty much live tweeting what Kiter was doing today. So the setup is that Kiter has a capital murder case where a guy named Alex Guajardo is charged with stabbing his pregnant wife to death. And I'm actually not familiar with how much of the timetables worked on this, but apparently he was out on at least one bond. I'm not even clear on that because that wasn't exactly the main thrust of this. Although it ends up becoming a big deal that he was out on a bond at least, because when the murder happens, all of a sudden this case becomes Kim Ogg's big rallying cry on why we need to oppose bond reform. Judges are going to get us all killed. Participating in a bill called Caitlin's Law, which was the complainant's name, and
in this case.
Yeah.
Wow.
And and quite frankly, Kim Og does this so much. This was like literally a shock to no one.
Right.
And so Justin, my understanding is, and again, Justin is by far the better source to this because he did all the work on it. It's his case, but that Justin was basically had talked to the judge about some of the comments being made. The judge had indicated that the DA's office needed to kind of tone it down, and it didn't really stop, at least not on the end of Kim Og and her media spokesman Dane Schiller. And so ultimately Kiter did some subpoenaing, he did some public records requests, and ultimately uses what he gets from those requests as the basis of a motion for a change of venue.
Wow.
And
what's the basis of the motion?
Pretrial.
Well, first of all, talk about what transfer of venue means for those watching who don't know.
Yeah, so basically, for a change of venue is basically if there's so much pretrial publicity in the community that you're going to pull your jury pool from, in this case Harris County, that it's so much and that it's so bad that it's impossible to ultimately get a fair jury panel. It doesn't necessarily have to be due to the bad acts of the district attorney's office. It could just be the case in and of itself.
Right.
And
we've seen that in a lot of high-profile cases. Right?
Probably the biggest one would be Selena. Selena was killed in Nueces County, I believe, in Corpus, and they didn't think that they could get a fair trial, so they ultimately tried her case in Harris County. And because
who tried that case? Who was defense on that? Do you know?
It was all Corpus attorneys, I believe.
Corpus people,
wow.
Yeah, they just tried it here.
How cool would that have been? How cool would that have been?
Well, they tried that with like Andrea Yates and some other ones, and that
Andrea Yates was a big one. But the thing is that when you're dealing with Harris County,
it's a big pool.
It's a huge pool, and so when you're moving for a change of venue, I think the first thing you got to do as a defense attorney is ask yourself, do you really want one? Because I do think that you could get moved up to Montgomery County and being really wishing you were back home.
Right.
And so, but in this instance, I think that obviously over the past couple of years since the pandemic, the district, the Republicans and Kim Og joining them as their special friend have really done a hardcore push to basically make citizens feel like they're not safe at home. And I think this is what Kiter was addressing, and it was definitely a well put together message. Right. He had some instances of Kim Og addressing it in speeches. She had been part of lending her voice to a bill sponsored by Senator Paul Betancourt, a Republican, the Caitlin's Law. She had signed her name. This would become an issue greatly in contention during the course of Kiter's hearing, that she had signed off on an amicus brief where she had made some really misleading comments about the status of Guajardo's bond. And it was funny. It was painful. It was painful to watch because anytime Kiter would ask Kim a question, she'd argue with him or bicker or basically make her own rulings as if she were judge. and then when she got passed to Mary McFadden, who was the district attorney, assistant district attorney handling it, all of a sudden, oh, well, let me elaborate. And,
Right.
as I noted in paragraph 7, line 4.
So when you're in the courtroom or you're watching this, was like Justin Kuyter having to objection non-responsive, and then have like District Court Judge Amy Martin look at the elected district attorney and say, make sure you answer just his question. I mean, like, what was that like?
So the first day, so Kim did testify over the course of 2 days. On the first day, Mary did not object a whole lot to what Kuyter was asking, and so there wasn't just a whole lot of it. Kim would kind of bicker or quibble with his questions, but ultimately answer them at least to his satisfaction that he would move on. And so Judge Martin was certainly paying close attention, but she wasn't really called upon to have to intervene all that frequently. Now this morning, Mary was objecting a lot more because Kuyter was trying to talk about other cases like Arkema, Dr. Gokul, Gerald Goins. He was trying to cite these other examples to show that there was like a clear pattern of what Kim Ogg does of basically trying her case in the media.
Let me break you right there. What is the discussion? Because there had to have been, obviously. It's the highest profile thing that's going on. What's the discussion between Kim Ogg and Mary McFadden on last night as to how to proceed this morning?
I think I don't know.
Right, we don't know.
I will say that I thought that Mary and I love Mary. Mary's a friend of mine.
She's a fabulous lawyer. She kicked my ass all over the place last hearing we had.
Yeah, I would say that she probably now see I'm getting messages. But anyway, they I think that there was probably, because there were a lot of prosecutors there in the office that were in the courtroom. There were people there. Eric Kugler from Appellate was there.
Well, what do they tell McFadden? If you saw what do they tell her? What do you think they tell her?
I think they told her that if you start objecting about her talking, if you start objecting to relevance about them continuing to talk about these other cases, that we think that the judge will probably sustain your objections, and I think that that's ultimately what happened.
How do you rate Kim Ogg? What's the impression that you feel after the first day of testimony, and then we'll start the second day? What is your overall impression of? Is she credible? Is she not credible? Is she fishing? Is she floundering? Is she crawfishing? Is she strong? What's the what's the impression you feel after the first day?
I think that Kim Ogg is definitely in the right profession, if you call that profession being a politician. She's very polished. She is definitely not going to get boxed into answering a question a way that she doesn't want to answer it. She walked in, she waved to, smiled and waved to people that she knows can't stand her, and even me. And I was like a dummy. I'm like, and
hey,
Rick DeToto was like, why are you waving at her? He was making fun of me, but Kim came in ready to work the room. She certainly had a contingency of a group of her prosecutors there to cheer her on. She was very calm. To start off with, her demeanor was good. Justin had her on direct, and it took her maybe 4 or 5 minutes before she started getting really snarky with him.
Oh, that's what I mean. She's gonna get and.
Oh yeah.
But she wasn't stupid snarky.
No, of course not. She's a Harris County District Attorney. Of course not.
Right. But I think we've all had that client that gets on the stand, or usually it's client's girlfriend or mom.
Oh yeah,
Who's like, I got this, and like,
oh yeah,
he's
step
super
aside.
rude to the prosecutor, and that's going to show the jury who's writing this, and you're just like, oh, kill me now. She hovered near that. I made a joke today because at one point Mary objected to a question that Kiter had asked, and Kim was more along the lines of like, I got this, and like answered it, over objection, and so
Excuse me.
I'm not envious of the position that Mary was in, having to
she's call it what it is. Like, she's having to cross-examine
her boss. And her boss is not known
the
for
most
nice
powerful elected politician in Harris County, short of maybe. No, she's proven by indicting multiple people who work for Lena Hidalgo. She's proven she's the most powerful person, elected position in the county.
Okay, okay. So her and Kiter are dueling it out, and she's doing great, and Kiter's doing great. I mean, they're just fighting, good old-fashioned gunfight at the testimony. Okay, so let's go to day 2. What says you?
But what's the judge? I mean, Amy Martin is like, what is she doing in there?
I mean, I think she was actually doing a really good job of maintaining the balance of letting them try their case, but stepping in. I was live tweeting, and at one point, they got super. There were several times when Kim and Justin got super snarky with each other. Awesome. Like he was talking about making pretrial statements, and she was like, "You make pretrial statements all the time." And defense attorneys, and he was like, "Why do you have to make it personal about me?" And she goes, "Well, okay, maybe not you, other defense attorneys." And so they're like just back and forth with each other, and and at one point, Judge Martin like makes the statement of like, "Why don't we all try to think better of one another and give each other the benefit of the doubt?" And I was like, "Good luck with that." I mean, you would have me and Pat Lycos getting along a lot better, in this situation.
Sure.
And
Og.
And
then what happens?
I mean, it just went. I don't think he was ever going to get her to acknowledge any type of smoking gun moment, but he didn't need to, because he had the evidence. He had her signature on this amicus where she's misstating the bond situation that had occurred after Judge Martin had told him to kind of chill on the pretrial publicity. And, and Kim's, I mean, I think it was clear that Kim, was basically saying this car ain't got no brakes. We're only going to accelerate on this stuff. And I think that, that on day 1, there was a lot more leniency towards the fact that Kim has this super humongous pattern of trying her cases in the press. And I think that was pretty much obvious to anybody that has any, even a passing interest in the courthouse. But what I think that what Justin brought to light, which is the stuff that we all need to be, as defense attorneys, be aware of and combat, is the fact that she doesn't just do it here. She'll do it on any other case. And I don't think random citizens who aren't, entwined with the criminal justice system realize how much damage is done when you have the district attorney's office out, or the district attorney herself out there declaring you guilty. And, I know everybody wants to hear about what Kim said, but to me, the bigger revelations came from Dane Schiller, her media person, who kind of stunned all of these reporters by acknowledging that he had a pseudonym called Dude Goggles, which apparently, if you look up on the Urban Dictionary, is an offensive term. And he basically goes in and combats people in the Chronicle comment section.
Whoa.
And
Right. Whoa. You got to set
He
this up.
trolled.
I heard about this. Set it up. Okay.
Yeah, so
I've
set
seen
this
dude
up, man.
goggles on the cron things. Like
right,
he's an antagonist.
huge antagonist.
That's Dan. That's Kim Ogg's communications person.
That's correct.
Does he get money? Like, is his salary with taxpayer funds?
Oh yeah.
Set it up,
Yeah.
Is he
Murray.
on the
Okay.
clock
How
when
do you
he
find
is,
this
when
guy?
he's posting his dude goggles? Is he on the clock?
He's salaried, and he said he didn't see that there would be any issue if he did or if he didn't. And so, to give a little bit of backstory,
Wait, what the?
Well,
Go. Start it, Murray. Where did it start? Tell us how.
The prosecutor's, the district attorney's, the prosecutor's duty is to seek justice at all times, not seek convictions. And we have like a pseudonym being used in a media website to troll people. We haven't even gotten into the fact that she's now starting using Nextdoor, like the Karen Haven, to do the other side of this when there's verdicts that come out and plea deals that are like strong armed or not, like righteous or not, like they are just plastering those up. Yeah. And like, where is the prosecutors used to not make statements, not try cases in the court of public opinion, not use the bully pulpit. They would just wait and prove their case in court quietly and get their conviction and move on to the next case. That's justice.
Set it up, Murray.
Politics.
I'm getting blown up. Set it up. How do you do it?
All right. So a while back, going back to so Dane Schiller in a previous.
I'm going to find some dude goggle posts while y'all do this. Y'all keep going.
Yeah, there's 4,100 of them, Justin. Just FYI. Not all of them are about the criminal justice system. Some of them are about tacos. But so anyway.
Well, did he get paid? Did he get salary for talking about tacos?
I don't know. I didn't look at all the times, but there were. So this is how this unfolded. Okay. So look. So Kim Ogg hires him to be the spokesperson. He starts. I was a supporter of Kim Ogg in 2016 when she ran. She lost that support that I had for her very quickly. But Dane and I started off on good footing. But then I started realizing that every time I would comment on a story, he would then call the reporter and yell at him for having cited me as a source. And including like saying, well, you need to be printing that Murray's a huge Republican, which is not true, who's always hated Kim Ogg, which is also not true, who got fired from the DA's office, super true. And but then he like said that I got fired for disparaging my fellow employees and everyone hated me. I was like, no, I got fired for disparaging Kim Ogg and the incoming Ogg administration. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I can own up to, but I'm not going to own up to something that's not true. And so I was talking.
You sound like so many of my clients.
Well,
all my clients say that. I'm not guilty of something I did.
Yeah,
but not once did you ever offer me probation.
No.
It's fair.
And so
don't get Murray deferred.
Yeah. So he's also saying these things about me on the Chronicle website as dude goggle. And so I may have had some assistance from some people that I won't name that helped me figure out that's totally Dane Schiller. It's the way he talks. He's referencing some of his favorite restaurants. Dude Goggles has got to be him. And so he took a pot shot at me again in January. I don't even remember what article. I had talked to some people at Texas Monthly, and here comes Schiller again. It got to the point where I said, look, if I'm telling you anything negative about the DA's office, you can anticipate a phone call from Dane Schiller, and here are the things he's going to say about me. And so he gets on the stand, and Kiter asks him, have you ever used a false identification in social media? And he says no. And I'm like,
wait.
I accused him on my blog of being dude goggles. I straight up accused him of it.
Well, it's one and the same, so it's not really false. So then he later
I am dude goggles.
He later doubles back and says I had a pseudonym
right
handle, completely different thing, and he blurts out and that's dude goggles. And so there are certain reporters that cover the courthouse beat. And so I'm like, Dane just admitted he's dude goggles, and they go berserk.
Wow.
Like, he's been doing this stuff. And so, of course, the first thing, all you have to do is like hit 3 clicks, and you can see every comment he's ever made on every post since he developed that thing.
You got some, Justin? Why don't you show some? Do we have some? Share your screen.
I'm looking right now. I'm kind of digesting some of Carrie Blakinger's like digestion of this revelation. Like, you're right. Like, it went like everywhere when that came out. That's
incredible.
I'm looking for some of the actual things he said.
Yeah. So what's funny is that there is another Kim actually, while she's out there begging the commissioner's court for more prosecutors, has a really healthy communications division. Like when I was there, we didn't have anybody. We talked about our own cases, and we were really cautious about doing that. But now there's like a staff of 4, and then there's community outreach. I mean, she's got a ton of people.
And there's pseudonyms on the Chronicle website.
And they're using pseudonyms.
She's got this on lock.
And so on Twitter, there was a girl that had worked for a lady, who had worked on Kim's campaign that now works in that office. And she had been attacking me on Twitter under a handle called She Persisted. And so, I saw who she was following and some of the people that followed her. And I figured out that it was actually a lady that worked for Kim Ogg. And so I suggested to Kiter that he ought to ask Dane Schiller, how many other people in your department are using these pseudonyms to basically troll anyone who thinks that what the DA's office is doing is bad policy. And he specifically said, is Anna Carpenter one of your people? Does she go by She Persisted? And Anna Carpenter was she was in the courtroom and did not seem to be real excited by that question, because she hit me with some stuff on Twitter way below the belt.
Did he did he admit it? Did he say yes? And
said he didn't know. And so then, I mean, but the thing about it is, it's like, it's so childish. It's like, aren't y'all supposed to be handling capital murders, not trolling people? And you come to realize that it's a fine line between being the spokesperson for the office and just straight up being Kim's campaign manager and getting paid.
Well, that's what Anna Carpenter was or
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
She's been there with us before when Kim Ogg's come on the show before. Miss Carpenter's been in the
she's a salaried
engineering
employee now
group with me. Yeah. So she's okay. She's a public servant.
And sure, let's go with that.
And then what happened?
Yeah, I'm looking back at my emails when I was getting emails from her, and she's like, campaign manager Kim Ogg.
So, and then what happened, Murray?
Well, so anyway, Dane said he didn't know about that, but like literally the media people, I think, were so offended. The folks that were there representing the different news agencies were so offended that this spokesperson was doing that. I think that they were actually more shocked as journalists than we were as lawyers. Because I mean, I kind of called this back in January on the blog. And so the big question then becomes, it's like Watergate, asking Kim, well, did you know he was doing this? And of course she didn't. No, absolutely not. And
how does she not? Is he doing this on his free time at home?
Yeah. And so it's like, you have no idea that your office, your spokesperson, has launched over 4,100 comments on the Chronicle, many of them trolling your detractors. And you're saying you didn't know he was doing that. And she said she didn't. I believe out of all the things that she said on the stand, I probably find that just the biggest straight up lie. There's no way he went that maverick. I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, I could tell you that there was about a 6-month period or so when I was an anonymous blogger for, because I started it because I was still an employee at the DA's office, and I lived in terror of getting in trouble for even just talking about my own personal perspective on that. So, and they didn't know, and it was like such a relief when I outed myself. But there's no way she.
But if she didn't know, then doesn't that beg another question of like, what kind of ship are you running over there?
Oh man, okay. So going back to
Kim, there's not like that's not a good thing in any angle of it whatsoever. That if you're law enforcement, you're supposed to be bound by like integrity and professionalism. You should not have trolls on your payroll.
Yeah, well, it was Kim.
What are you trying to hide? Just like put your name as Dan Schiller and go out there and say that.
So so Kim, like when she was under, when she was on there on the stand, like anything that Kiter asked her, she would be like, "Oh, Scott Durfee wrote this amicus. I just signed it." And then Kiter's like, "So you didn't know what it said?" And she was like, "Oh, it did." Oh, and one of the things I forgot to tell you, Justin, is one of the comments that Dude Goggles made is a lot of these judges are clowns. And so Kiter asked him, "Did you say that? And do you think that judges are clowns?" And on the stand, he said, "Yeah, I think a lot of the judges are clowns."
Wow.
And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So, to me,
the communications director for the Harris County District Attorney's Office, who operates in every single one of those criminal courts, just put all those judges, all 39 judges that they think that some or a lot of, whatever the term was, of them are clowns.
Yeah.
But
if
I were a judge in that courthouse, I would, when those prosecutors walked into that courtroom that day, I'd say, before we go on Zoom, live stream, people come in here, we need to talk. I would like for your office to go find out if I'm one of these so-called clowns, because I want to know who I'm dealing with. The voters of Harris County need to be paying attention to this. This is not what we should, as a citizen of Harris. Forget that I'm a defense attorney. I'm also like a citizen. I expect those laws to protect me and my family in the house that I'm sitting in right now. This is not what we should want from an elected district attorney.
Yeah, it's So if you go back and look, though, because I've done talks about where I've thought he's exceeded the boundaries before. If you look on the blog, because like you'll look at him sitting there saying like, "Hey, prosecutors just try to keep us safe. It's these judges." I mean, he's very, very vocal. And again, I think that there's become a really, really blurred line between office spokesperson and campaign shill. And I think that I don't think he even blinks at it.
Who is this? Who is this guy, Dane? Where's he from? Where did he go to school? How is he tied to Kim Og?
I think Kim had her own history with Crime Stoppers, which is a whole nother thing. We were talking about Crime Stoppers and whether or not Kim was utilizing them to advance her own public agenda, and then you have things like the DA's office helping Crime Stoppers write an amicus on the bail reform lawsuit, and the DA's office basically helping them construct it. And I think that at some point Kim got asked about the name of some guy who is a donor to Crime Stoppers who wanted to set something up, and she got real jumpy about who is, like Kiter's like, "Who is this guy?" And she's like, "An individual."
Human.
But who? And she's like, "An individual." And whoa.
I wonder if they are in the rug industry or maybe poker. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
It definitely looked like sketchy, like some sketchy stuff going in there.
Okay, so we go to day 2. So talk to us about day 2, direct and cross. Really quick, did Dane come up before Og, or did Dane come up?
Yeah, he was first. He was first, and he was just grinning from ear to ear. And I know Carrie did a big story on Crime Stoppers. There's a lot of interesting overlap. Between Kim and Crime Stoppers. And currently, you have Vivian King, who is, she's a second in command or third in command, depending on who you ask, at the DA's office. She's on the Crime Stoppers board. And there's a lot of money that's going back and forth between them. And, if somebody had the time and inclination, I think it'd be really interesting to look at, who donates what, where, and how to both the OGG campaign and to Crime Stoppers, because I think that there's a lot of fuzzy lines there.
Tell us. We have about 8 minutes left. Tell us what else we need to know about the hearings so we went through day 1. What about day 2? Where do we go from here? What's next? What's the good scoop for today?
So
I would also like to before I don't know, before or after, but tell us what happens if Judge Martin, procedurally, we have to kind of do this too. What happens if she
we're not even there yet. We're not even there. I can't even talk about that until we go. I can't even talk about that until we get through day 2. What happened today, and then let's talk about what happens.
So the short answer is basically Kim was wrapped up. They then there weren't any major bombshells. They talked a lot about that amicus brief today, and then. They brought in, Kiter called in Sam Connect to testify, basically using her as an example of what a good prosecutor does with pretrial publicity.
Oh, snap.
Nothing. That was short, because the prosecutors countered with, you've tried a lot of high-profile cases, and it is possible to, get a fair trial on a high-pub case in Harris County. But there's the distinction of you don't have the DA jumping up and down on your client's head. And Sam was like, you don't do that. You don't talk about opening cases. She obviously was in an awkward position as well.
Yes, she is.
Who, Sam?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sam's there. She's great. But then
awkward for her, like, did she kind of
called by
Kiter? Her boss?
Put in the position. Tell us how your boss screwed this up.
Damn, that's hilarious.
She was very diplomatic. She did a good job. She just talked about what she did. Kiter didn't call upon her to directly criticize anything that Kim had done. Kim did. So Kiter did 2 things that he deserves credit for, which I thought were really well done. On day 1, he read from her campaign speech about what she said the night she won the elections, when she said that, and to something to the effect of, and to the defense attorneys, know that I will protect your client's rights. And then he's like, do you think you're doing that? Statements, which was, he pulled it together very masterfully. And then the way he closed with her today was he basically admitted a portion of the district attorney's office own operations manual, discussing about not commenting on pending cases, and then read it and then asking her, do you agree with that? And then she said yes, and then he passed the witness.
I was gonna say, would you say I don't know?
Wow.
Okay, we got 5 minutes left. Okay, so number really quick is are there any more witnesses to present?
So Vivian King got called to the stand. I had left at this point. She was being questioned about some pretty bombastic statements that she had made I believe at an NAACP meeting. And I was getting random texts about this from random people in the courtroom, but they were saying that basically she denied saying what had been quoted in an article. And then she said she only does what Kim tells her to do.
Oh, snap.
And then I don't believe the state put on any witnesses. I don't know if anyone else testified. And then I believe it went to closing. My understanding is that Judge Martin has said she's going to hold off on ruling on the issue until November, but told the parties to be ready to try the case in December. Make of that what you will. I'm not going to pretend to know where she's going with that.
Okay, and then I hand it to you guys, and you guys write it out. But I have 2 comments. The first one is, my vote is Judge Martin, one of the best judges in the courthouse. She's been great. She lost, so she's not there anymore. It's my opinion that she grants this motion and gets out, and she's gone. She's not on the bench anymore. I think she grants it. That's my call. It's just a bet. That's a bet. 2, what do you think? Whatever. I mean, that's what I think.
What's 2?
I mean, well, 2 was that, I think there is that tone. I was wondering if she was going to reserve her ruling until, obviously, till November, right? I was wondering if she's going to reserve the ruling or she was going to make one there. It's my bet. She grants the ruling. She gets off the bench and says, you know what? I'm out. And she ran on this type of kind of spirit. And if she can go out on this type of spirit, man, that would be something historical in Harris County. You guys got 2 minutes, and you send us out.
I mean,
Murray.
I think very highly of Judge Martin, and I think that the thing that has been her theme for her all too brief time on the bench is that she's going to rule from an intellectually honest position. If she thinks that Kiter has met all the prongs to change venue, I don't think she would blink to do it. If she doesn't feel that he has, I don't think she would blink to not do it. I don't think she's going to play a favorite on that. I think she's going to do what she thinks the law tells her to do, and that's it. The timing, I think, is curious, but I don't purport to know why she did that.
What says you, Justin? Is she granted or not? That's a non-response from Murray. What do you say?
No, it's not a non-response. It's actually a confession for me because
she's granted. Based on what you've told me, she's granted that thing.
No, time out, JV. I don't know. I've never
Murray
moved.
didn't say that.
I've never moved to change venue. I am not familiar with all the prongs and all the burdens, and so there may be elements of it that I do not know, and that's the only reason I am hedging my bets on that.
Justin Harris, what says he?
Well, okay, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it either, but I also know that, like, in a place like Harris County, where we have the largest jury pool in the state of Texas, if you can't, maybe you don't bring 65 people, maybe 120 people or 250 people, you can you have the ability to cast a wide enough net here that I think that a transfer of venue outside of Harris County is going to be a really steep uphill battle. It's not like some of these other counties, like Colorado County, where I know Murray works, where I've heard that, like, if they don't have enough jurors show up for venire panels, they'll go down to Walmart. The bailiff will go down to Walmart and just grab people. Hey, what are you doing right now? Come on down. And, like, this is not 50 years ago. This is now. Those are places where everybody knows everybody, and you're going to need a transfer of venue if the DA makes one comment about something in the local paper. But in Harris County, I mean, you can.
Well,
I think that Kim Ogg has done things. The problem is, I think Kim Ogg has done things that Justin Kiter is 100% righteous in bringing this up, and I think that legally the judge may have enough evidence where in any other county this is granted, but in Harris County, you have to show that I think one of the standards is a certain percentage of people have heard about this, and it's going to affect things. Go ahead, JD.
Hey, I think the real credit is due on Justin Kiter. He kicked some butt on a case about a week or two ago. Justin Kiter, you're killing it. Keep the fight. Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, Murray Newman, Justin Harris, JV, we out.
JV Bella. Thank you.